Hello to my fire signs, Aries, Leo, and Sagittarius. Welcome to the Aries full moon. You'll find the timestamps for your rising signs listed below. Hello Aries Rising. Welcome to your reading for the Aries full moon happening very soon, this Thursday the 17th of October at 10:27 p.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. How you doing? I'm sorry that I was away for the last Libra eclipse. If you're subscribed to my mailing list, you would have heard why. I lost all of the video files to these horoscopes, and it was a bit of a disaster, a bit of an eclipse, you might say. And I decided to not publish anything, but I did offer to send out the audio files to folks on my mailing list if they wanted to listen to them. And I got a really beautiful response. It was really gorgeous. It kept me busy, but it was just really touching to know that quite a lot of you enjoy my work. And so for that, I thank you very, very much. But we're back for this full moon in Aries, and I've got the chart here in front of me, and I wanted to show you quickly. This is you. This is the glyph for Aries in the first house, your house of the self, the soul's rising intention, and there's the moon right there at 24 degrees. Right next to the moon is a key. That little glyph there is Chiron. Chiron sitting at 21 degrees of Aries. So with the sun over here in Libra, beaming down its light all the way over to the moon, lighting it up, letting it flow, we're also putting a spotlight on Chiron too. So I've drawn it again here in the center of this chart, just so we can meditate on what Chiron might mean to all of us. If you're familiar with the mythology, you know that Chiron was a centaur. But because Chiron was a child of the gods, he had eternal life, so he put that long life to good use. And he learnt everything that he possibly could about herbalism and nature and philosophy and martial arts, everything, you name it. Chiron knew how to do it. He developed this really beautiful reputation of being a sage, and so folks would come to Chiron for guidance when their heart was heavy. Now, in one of the stories, Chiron was accidentally shot by a poison arrow, and no matter what he looked for, no matter what salve he tried to find for his own wound, he just couldn't heal it himself. And so we take that part of the mythology and we transpose it to our birth chart. We transpose it to the parts of us that are so tender and so vulnerable, and that sometimes we keep under lock and key. I did a workshop on Chiron last Sunday, and it went really beautifully. And I searched and searched for some old keys, kind of like this one. And I wanted to gift a key to each of the participants in that workshop. But me and my mum, we drove all the way through pretty much nearly every old town that I had lived in. We used to move around a lot when I was a kid, looking in op shops, looking in the hardware section, trying to find these old keys, and we just couldn't find them no matter where we looked. But as we looked, my internal key became really obvious. Something was unlocking for me in terms of my own Chiron placement, my own Chiron wounds. Personally, they've got a lot to do with feeling alienated, feeling unsure about oneself in the neighborhood or in the village, feeling ostracized in some way. So all these memories came out, and then, what do you do with them? So I let it feed my work. And I also went back over different parts of my life, different times where my Chiron wound had shown up really strongly in terms of fear of abandonment and the way that I used to dash if I could smell it coming, run away, smoke bomb. And it's my responsibility to make reparations for those behaviors. And that's the true work of Chiron. That's the true key. So looking at this chart for the full moon, Aries Rising, we're looking at a key that sits in your first house. Now, this might not be the same to your birth chart, but this is the transiting astrology. This is the map of the sky right now at this moment for this full moon. And so since 2018, full time since 2019, the key Chiron has been traversing very gently through the sign Aries. And so maybe at different moments, there's been a highlight about your own sense of unconscious wounding, your own sense of pain. Perhaps there's been moments in your life where you've wanted to get to the bottom of it. We've got to remember, as much as Chiron was suffering, the Chiron placement, the Chiron transits, the energy from out there is such an invitation for healing. And so I hope that this full moon on the 17th provides you with an extra emphasis on these sorts of topics. Now, I know it sounds pretty spooky, and there's a time and a place for everything. So you take this how it lands. But I imagine if you're available to it, this full moon could provide you with a source. It could provide you with some great insight into where you've been suffering and how you've been reacting to that suffering and to whom. Because we look over here at Libra, again, in your 7th house of your relationships, those that you love, that you keep very close to your heart. We see here that the sun is in exact conjunction with this flower, which is the asteroid Juno. Juno in the 7th house is really speaking quite strongly to our commitment in our relationships. Our relationships are holding the spotlight at this time, Aries Rising, onto some of our more unconscious pain that we've been going through. Now, what you can probably see here is a square, a nearly perfect square, which looks a bit foreboding. Remember in astrology that squares often mean pressure points. So cardinal sign to cardinal sign to cardinal sign to cardinal sign. There's a crunchy traffic jam that's occurring with this sun, Juno, Chiron, the moon, up in Capricorn here in your 10th house, Pluto, and down here in Cancer in your 4th house, Mars. Now this is the hot spot for me, because you know as an Aries rising, Mars is the planet that you look to for guidance often. Mars provides you with your bravery, your valor, your drive, your direction. Now, Mars is not great in Cancer, let alone amidst all of this pressure. So what might happen when we feel pressurized by our relationships, perhaps by our obligations publicly, and when we're hurting in the soul, that Mars might be angry, it might be cruel words. So, as always, check yourself before you wreck yourself, girl. But maybe through some of these outbursts, the key might reveal itself. You should be really proud of yourself, Aries rising, for all that you've accomplished in your whole life. If you wanted to look at the other moments in recent history, we've got to remember that this Aries full moon is actually a bit of a reprieve. It's time away from eclipses, because you can see there's the dragon's head still at 6 degrees of Aries, but it's too far away from this moon, so there's no gobbling up. We're free of an eclipse at this moment. The last Aries solar eclipse that had a lot to do with Chiron, had a lot to do with this key to our suffering, was on the 9th of April of this year, so at 19 degrees of Aries. We had that massive solar eclipse that was seen all across the United States of America. And at that time, that eclipse was exactly conjunct with Chiron, but we don't really need to worry about getting into the semantics. This is highlighting that moment. It's a reprieve, this full moon, Aries rising. I want you to use the moon and all of its power. I want you to unleash with this full moon. I want you to gather up all of your courage. I want you to think about what's going on at home. Where's the anger? Where's the aggression? I want you to think about your relationships, and I want you to think about those people in your 7th house cut the shit. Those people in your 7th house that are supporting you at this time. Pluto has got a couple of weeks left up here in the 10th house for you. We'll never see Pluto in Capricorn ever again in our lives. So there's pressure to this moment. It feels loaded. I understand that. And I understand when things feel loaded, I've been known to lash out too. But there are people in your life that really love you, Aries Rising. They've got your back. And at this full moon, they might be forcing you to see that they've got your back. Who is this? It's the Fool, babe. We all have the right to start again when we need to. I've done it hundreds of times in my life. But it's always a nicer feeling to start again when you've got no weight on your back, when you've got nothing clawing at your ankles. You want that sense of freedom. So this next start, this next adventure, feels light as a feather. There's moments in time to say nothing. There's moments in time to intentionally not act. I wonder if this is one of them. I wonder if the rumination and the restriction that you've possibly felt by the truth, or two truths at this time, I wonder if that's left you feeling debilitated rather than stoic. There's a lot of us that are trying to muster as much stoicism as we possibly can at this current moment. That's true. And that's true too. In those moments when that's true and that's true, it's really difficult to find righteousness. So maybe that's something that you need to be less involved in, or less. That's not the goal here, Aries Rising, this righteousness. That's the goal. We want you back to your old, beautiful self. We want you working from your sunshine. We want you to feel light and free and ready and funny and sexy and beautiful. We want you to feel hopeful again. I think the key to a lot of folks and their suffering is a lack of faith at this time. And I'm not about to tell you to love and light any pain away. This is true too. But I am here to tell you that things change. That's one thing that we can rely on in this life, Aries Rising, is that things change. So take this key and look into your soul at the full moon. Imagine it like a mirror. Imagine that you're in Princess Mambi's dressing room and they're all mirrors. But you've got to find the key to find the magical dust to fly away. I got you, babe. You're a champion. I'm really glad that you're here. That's the reading for the full moon, honey. If you're still here with me, can you please put a key in the comments down below? That would be really beautiful. I would love that. Let me know how you're going. Let me know what it's like in your part of the galaxy. If you would like me to draw your birth chart, something like the one we're looking at now, you can head to my website, umaruby.com, and you can book yourself a spirit reading, and I'll draw you a chart similar to this, and I'll read it to you. All those appointments you can find at umaruby.com. If you would like me to read your tarot face-to-face and you're in Melbourne on Sundays, head to the Muses of Mystery website and book your place with Uma. If you'd like to support my work, you can head to buymeacoffee.com/umaruby and put some money in the tip jar. I love you very much, Aries Rising, and I'm incredibly proud of you. One more thing before I go. This key, we've got a couple more years to contend with this. So don't stress. Not everything has to be wrapped up and resolved in this moment. It never does. But simply by talking about it from time to time, it makes the journey a little bit easier. Take good care, honey. Hello, Leo Rising. Welcome to your reading for the Aries full moon happening very soon, this Thursday, the 17th of October at 10:27 p.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. We are through with eclipse season for another year, Leo Rising. We finally have a moon that we can trust, and it's right here, up in Aries. I want you to use this moon with all of your might. I want you to bathe underneath its glow. I want you to get the most out of it. I want you to tell it your secrets. I want you to tell it what you've been through. And I want you to allow yourself a bit of hope. Because Aries, the sign, rules over your 9th house, which is the house of the gods, the house of hopes and faith, where we set out on a grand adventure and where we put our work out into the stratosphere. And so what I want you to imagine in your mind's eye is that if your finger is lingering over some proverbial publish button, or if the megaphone is in your hand and you've been contemplating what it is that you're going to proclaim out into the galaxy, then this full moon in Aries will be some great encouragement for you to do that. The dragon's here at 6 degrees. The moon is here at 24. It's too far away. No fear of eclipse. No nothing. It's a clearing. It's a reprieve from all of the harsh, strict, ruthless energy that we've been grappling with for this past month. Now down here in Libra is the sun, and the sun is right next to the asteroid Juno, exactly the same place, 24 degrees. And so Juno can represent our commitment. It can represent our oath. And so that is a galvanizing force. The sun, whatever the sun touches, it brightens, dignifies, and warms up. And this is all happening in your 3rd house in opposition to the 9th, just as sacred, just as profound. It's called the house of the goddess. This is where we enact our private rituals. This is where we do our magical work. And so if you're with someone that you've committed to, I'd love for you to hold them very close at this full moon, and together I would like you to beam out your loving vibes all the way up to that moon. The moon is in vulnerable company. You can see there's a key shape right there. That's representative of Chiron. We've been working with Chiron for some time. And so what I'd like for you in your mind's eye to imagine is that at this full moon, you hold a key. And there's a responsibility to this key because you're going to make an attempt to unlock the suffering and the pain that folks are having at this time around their access to faith and their access to hope. I would like for you to use your beautiful lion self and proclaim it from the rafters that life and love and hope and faith are all precious things, and that there is wounding involved in all of those topics. But this key will help to unlock some of that. Together we can look at our pain. Together we can look at our suffering. Once it's out of the bag, once you've used this key to unlock your chains, you can unlock others as well. This full moon feels really mighty for you, particularly Leo rising. I want you to keep the faith in your words. I want you to keep the faith in what it is that you've been working towards. I want you to use this Aries full moon as an absolute moment to put it out there, make contact, come together, remind people what faith is, remind them what hope is for. We all have a key on our birth chart to our unconscious suffering. It's a very delicate place. I did a workshop just this last Sunday on the topic of Chiron and our unconscious wounds, and it was profound, and I was so grateful for the company of those that attended. We did some really vulnerable, really beautiful storytelling. We tell stories in the third house of the goddess. I see it for you, Leo rising. There's somebody here, there's some commitment. There's a pact that's been forged that's aiding this release. Now, it's not without its tension. You can see there's a square, and it's coming from both sides, from Mars and from Pluto. Huge, powerful, sometimes aggressive energies. But because you're a Leo rising, because the sun is your guiding light and the sun is in a pact with your commitment, and the moon is our vulnerability in a pact with Chiron, our pain, this is the topic. This and this we can contend with, we can deal with as it happens, but you're rising above this to somewhere that feels really bold and really strong. And we're not only dealing with tension. It's true, it's there, and from pretty bold brute force. However, that brute force is also being contended with something far more blue, far more liquid, far more emotional. We have Venus in Scorpio here shooting some more support to Mars, and we have Neptune in Pisces up here shooting down to Mars. Love wins in this contest, this test of will. Love wins, and that's part of your message that you're putting out. I can see it really clearly. Pluto has got weeks left in Capricorn until it shifts over into Aquarius full time. pre-existing power structures, abuses of power, the way that those that have subjugated those that have not. It's all being revealed, and it will continue to be revealed, and it might get a bit bumpy, it might get a bit shaky, so we've got to prepare ourselves for this moment. But if your voice has its calling, we're speaking to vulnerability, we're speaking to compassion, and we're speaking to love. This is the chart for the current moment, Leo. Take it as you will. I know that you'll do good work with it. If you wanted any more support, you can see that the sun is speaking a beautiful song to Jupiter in your 11th house of your sense of humanity, the human condition. Expand your optimism on that topic. Move into the power of your language that does speak to love, that does speak to connection, that does speak to gratitude, that speaks to healing. This key is the key to our healing. So use it on behalf of yourself and on behalf of all of us. Let's get some tarot on the table. To all of you that wrote me and received the audio file from the Libra eclipse horoscopes that were chewed up by my computer, I thank you so much for your support. When that happened, I just felt so hopeless, and I felt that the astrology had done me dirty. I was just devastated. But by reaching out to me and asking for the audio files and listening along, it reminded me of my own work and how my commitment to it is honored by all of you. And I just can't thank you enough. It's such a gorgeous feeling. Stunning. Lots of swords and then some wands. Perhaps when we're talking about hope, faith, love, the future, perhaps you can afford to speak with authority. Perhaps you can know the truth in your heart. You feel it through your body. You know that they are our guiding principles. You know that that is what we need to work towards. We know that during times of crisis and times of war, we have to stand up on behalf of the spirit, on behalf of love. But in the caustic environment of semantics and right and wrong, and also political ideology, we have to keep a cool head, and we have to keep our articulation pretty well intact. I know it's sort of trepidatious to sort of say the wrong thing. That's why I'm a tarot reader, because it's far more fluid and juicy. And but this looks to me like we're stepping away from the the fight of semantics, where ideology gets in the way of empathy. That's what this really looks like to me. Because your heart is where your courage lays, Leo Rising. You lead from the heart. That's where your courage sits. It's how you love, how you feel, how you empathize. The cold, hard lines of ideology are something that this species will have to contend with. And I don't know when we'll all learn the lesson. And sometimes I don't know that I have. Because the outside world can sometimes echo in the inner. And we can be so cut and dry with ourselves. We can be cut and dry with our loved ones too. Visualize this as the moment with the moon. There you are, in bed, staring out at it, recognizing what you've accomplished over this time, recognizing how brave you've been, how strong you are, how wise you are, recognizing that your heart has led the way through your entire life, Leo Rising. And it's been so difficult to wear that so outwardly, so openly. But by doing so, you encourage other people around you to do the same thing. And if in your valiant warrior march, your flag has a heart on it, you can't ask for anything more noble than that. The Four of Wands sits right where this moon will illuminate in the zodiac. This is the card for that part of our galaxy. So take it with pride. Turn the key for yourself and lead by example. Whatever it is you got cooking, Leo Rising, I can't wait to bear witness to it. It sounds really exciting, and it sounds like you've been working on it for a very long time, and it sounds like the absolute tonic that we all need right now. It's a challenge to be vulnerable in times like these, and I don't hold it against anybody for shutting down. But it doesn't feel like you're doing that. It feels like you're breaking free, you're breaking open. It's going to take more work, but I trust that you've got the stuff to see it through. So on behalf of humanity itself, thank you so much. If you're still here with me, Leo Rising, can you put a key in the comments? I'd love to know what you've got cooking. I'd love to know what the eclipses surged for you, but I'd love to know what this opportunity is, what this moment looks like for you. If you would like me to draw your birth chart, they look something like this. You can head to my website, umaruby.com, and book a spirit reading. If you would like to see me face to face and have me read your tarot cards, you can make an appointment at the Muses of Mystery website. I'm there every Sunday until the end of the year. If you would like to support my work financially, you can do so at buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. But other than that, take a breath, take a moment, take some time with the moon, Leo Rising. And I'll see you soon enough for the Scorpio new moon. Lots of love. Hello Sagittarius Rising, welcome to your reading for the Aries full moon happening very soon, this Thursday the 17th of October at 10:27 p.m. if you're in the Southern Hemisphere with me. I hope that you feel relieved and released and hopeful after eclipse season, Sagittarius Rising. I know that it was really crunchy. I know that it was really in tune with the definition of the astrological moment. It's going down as one of the most profound eclipse seasons of my history, and I'm here for you in the aftermath. And I'm looking forward to sharing with you some opportunities for us to gather together and to hope and to release. This is a full moon that we can trust. We haven't had one for a month. It's right here in Aries, in your 5th house of your creativity, your self-expression, your pleasure. And I want you to take this moment Sagittarius Rising, I want you to bask underneath the glow of the full moon, and I want you to feel everything that you've been keeping at bay lately, because we can trust this one. There's no eclipse. The dragon's too far away. Can't gobble this one up. So we're really going to be working with all of the magic of the moon. We're really going to be allowing ourselves to be vulnerable with that moon. We're going to let it all out and let it all go and let it all free. You can see right here next to the moon is Chiron in the shape of a key. Now, in astrology, Chiron can highlight or point to parts of our vulnerability, parts of our unconscious wounding, parts of us that we might need to have extra special care with, and parts of us that we have the opportunity to heal. Now, in the mythology, Chiron couldn't heal his own suffering alone. And that's a lovely reminder that we don't need to do everything by ourselves as well. Now, Chiron has been in Aries since 2018. So it's been an ongoing, gentle, long story of self-discovery and of unearthing and of possibility. Now, in the tradition of the key shape, I want you to do a little visualization with me. When you're out there underneath the full moon, I want you to imagine that you hold this key in your pocket, and that when you're ready, it's safe enough to turn the key in the lock and release yourself, to unearth all of those tender spots that you've been keeping at bay, all of the pain, all of the sorrow. And I want you to set yourself free. I want you to get back in touch with the meaning of life. I want you to get back in touch with your access to joy and to pleasure. I want you to think about your creative self, and I want you to use that power of the moon to be proud of yourself for everything that you've created, everything that you've made in this life. It's so powerful. I want you to recognize the parts of your self-esteem that have been suffering. And I want you to give yourself the same love and care and attention that you would provide to somebody else if they were feeling blocked, or they were feeling unlovable, or they were feeling unworthy. I want you to turn this key, and I want you to let it all out. Jupiter is over here in your 7th house. This is your house of relationships, of other people. And Jupiter, while they're not very comfortable in Gemini and have been causing some spot fires, they're actually singing in a beautiful rhythm with the sun over here in Libra, and this flower here, which is called Juno, represents our commitment. And so I'm looking at your 11th house, Sagittarius Rising. I'm looking at your friends, the community that you've built around you. And the sun is galvanizing, warming up, sanctifying those bonds that you've made in this life, in your friends, in your communities, in your place in the human species. And that's being shot beautiful support into your relationships. Further to that, Mars and Neptune and Venus are all in an incredible trine, water sign to water sign. They're singing to each other. They're singing a story of love and fantasy and bravery and dreams realized. It looks stunning. And I hope that you can feel it too. I hope that this moon takes you away to a place where you feel seen and you know how much you're loved and you know how much your art means to so many people. This journey of Chiron since 2018 has been pressing some tender spots around those feelings of self-worth in your creativity, in your creative relationships. There may have been wounding, but this moon is providing some salve to those wounds. This moon is providing you with relief. So I want to get some tarot on the table now for you too, Sagittarius Rising. Let's give him a jolly good Vegas shuffle. Ooh, that wasn't so good. I'll try again. Where's that satisfying sound? Wait. Better. Before you go, before you take the next grand adventure, the next journey, I want you to really marvel at your intelligence. I want you to be proud of the way that you perceive the world around you and the way that you structured your thoughts, turbulent as they may have been at times, into a rhythm that makes sense to you. And I want you to feel some pride of your intellect. I want you to feel wise. I want you to feel that you have put everything into this life and you've learned from everything. And I want you to feel wise. You are so smart and so capable and so brilliant. And I want you to turn all of that clarity that you're feeling right now, I want you to turn it over and over and have it expand. And I want you to alchemize it in your hand and turn it into a seed that we can hold we can plant, and we can remember your wisdom. I want the key to open up your sense of self. I want it to let the love in and let the wisdom out. I want to grow a garden with this seed, and I want to remember everything that you taught us, everything that you shared. I want you to look around and be so proud of what you've accomplished. And I want your commitment to art to be worn as a crown. I want you to take your place amongst the greats. I want you to ascend. I want you to smile. And I want you to twinkle like a star. You are brilliant, Sagittarius Rising. You are noble and you are wise. Thank you. Thank you for everything that you taught us. Thank you for everything that you leave with us. And thank you for everything that keeps us safe and heard and listened to. Thank you for believing me. The next journey awaits. Go get it. Thank you for being here with me, Sagittarius Rising. I adore you. Thank you for taking that trip. And if you're still here with me, pop a key in the comments. It will help us all to remember our courage and the brilliance of our creativity. If you would like me to draw your birth chart, you can make your appointment at umaruby.com. If you would like a face-to-face reading with me, you can book your appointment at Muses of Mystery. All of these links are in the description below. And if you'd like to support my work, you can head to buymeacoffee.com/umaruby. Take good care, Sagittarius Rising. Much love.